Hey there, welcome to another edition of Top 10 Worst of Lists. The best in worst of lists to be found anywhere, in theory. My name is Al DePantu, and I'll be your guide through this spiritual quest of enlightenment that Top 10 Worst Lists have come to be known as in circles, various circles. Today's Top 10 Worst list is Top 10 Worst Things I Think About at 3 a.m. Now, this has the potential to be kind of weird. So, take off your cummerbunds and kick off your shoes and get ready for a wild ride. Before we get started, I have a checklist of elements that I feel obliged to make you aware of. Number one, I'm nuts, okay? And not nuts in your conventional sense where it's like cuckoo wacky, need to up his meds, type of nuts. I'm nuts contextually, as in, a society that, feels that being completely detached and uninvolved in the various different injustices and escapades of the world is the way to go. The way to a successful life is to embrace all of the indoctrinational hokum that we've been infused with for so many decades upon decades, and just try our very best to disregard all the suffering and exploitations that are running rampant around us, and just sort of, make our way through things in as much denial as possible. On autopilot is even better if you can manage that. I have had cognitive dissonant feelings throughout my entire life. It's made it difficult, if not impossible, to not feel attacked by that sort of mentality of not engaging with the world and embracing the challenges of this world and facing them. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Can you dig it? And the answer is no, quite obviously, because take a look at the world around you. People were embracing that, hey, it wouldn't be so bad, would it? Wouldn't have gotten as bad as it has. Number two, I'm not partisan. I'm not down with that whole mishigas, as they say. Number one, don't feel it's appropriate to paint any group with a broad brushstroke. And in order to be able to really immerse yourself in the partisanship that we've had ascribed to us, been infused with, demented by, whatever you want to call it, you have to use broad brushstrokes. And that's bigotry. Just like Yoda talking to Anakin in Attack of the Clones. Love leads to fear, fear leads to hate, hate leads to the dark side leads to Taco Bell. And I promised myself I would never eat Taco Bell ever again. Many moons ago, in a mystical ceremony that I took part in following an effort that I made to do something to help someone for all the wrong reasons, because there was an ass that needed to be tapped, and I was like, okay, and it didn't work out the way I wanted. I gave of myself. I was measured and found wanting, And so, as many do in that particular situation, I made my way to Taco Bell at 2 a.m. for some Munchables. And it was so bad, so plasticky, so garbagey that I made a vow on that day, 35 years ago to the day exactly, where I said I would never, ever eat Taco Bell again. And I've been faithful ever since. My hatred of that particular chain has never faded. So I can't be trusted or relied upon. I'm not I've moved on from that one. I'm not partisan. There's no point in excluding people from your life until you know who they are. If you're going to cast aspersion onto whole groups of people, I mean, yeah, there's hate groups and stuff like that. Look, I'm not including groups that are obvious hate groups like the KKK or, Oprah's Book Club or anything like that. I'm just talking about the types of indoctrinational things that they will whip out in order to be able to divide and conquer us, keep us under their thumb so that we can't collaborate on finding true answers and real meanings in life and finding out the true enemies of our humanity and of the working class and the mass and everything that is now and has always been the haves. And we, the have-nots, have been forced to suffer and given up our birthrights in order to be able to pay tithe to rich people. And for what? What did we get out of it? Nothing. 5 hours worth of streaming television every day? Give me a break, ski, please, ski. So everybody's all tore up inside over the amount of exploitations and victimizations that have gone on throughout the life in this earth ever since the beginning of civilization. And nobody's found any answers to it. No, the answers that there might be out there have all been blocked from distribution on a widespread mainstream level of visibility by the people who have the most to gain from the blocking of the freedom and the... Anyway, this top 10 list has been put together. That might not seem like it's a legitimate list. Some, phantasmagorical, whatever. But was put together by a team of former door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesmen who gather together with me outside of the Mall of Americas and come up with these lists while taking copious doses of baby aspirin mixed with paint thinner. And oh, what a list it is today. Boy, oh boy. But before we get to the one final little doohickey, it's a fan favorite for which we've been subjected to numerous award nominations to BAFTA. Frequent BAFTAs, been BAFTA'd up the yin yang for nominations, and hot dog eating contests, and others. So it's, yes, of course, our fabulous commercial sponsors. It's a new eatery in the hipster part of town. Crosby, Stills, and Nosh. Who can beat it? Can't be beaten. Sandwiches as thick as your fist. Deutschland über alles in Wonderland. A Nazi Red Queen's Tweedle Hess and Tweedle Spear, and the Cheshire Rat, and the others. Here comes this is the brilliant material. Comes another commercial interests We're in part sponsored by Glowgens, the glow-in-the-dark condoms. Would you like fries with that Shakespeare? A self-help book for modern times teaching you how to more successfully be a useless idiot. Dancing with the SARS. Does anybody even remember what SARS is? I should put together, and I still haven't put it together, but look forward to, at some point, putting a glossary together for top 10 worst of lists. Meat Loops from the makers of Fruit Loops. Yum, yum. A delicious part of this balanced breakfast. Shanghai Shrek, the Viet Cong version of Shrek. All these good things. I hate to interrupt this fabulousness. But it's time to dig it. If you can, today's top 10 worst of lists. Worst things I think about at 3 a.m. This could be interesting. Number 10. People's Union USA. Now, these people have a boycott list, like a list that if you don't boycott these things, you will be hurt very badly and humiliated and thought about as a complete fascist if you don't join on these boycotts. And the boycotts, there's some legitimate things that people, probably going to get a lot out of boycotting. They got Home Depot. I could see that. Starbucks, Starbucks used to be kind of like somewhat less malignant of a corporation, but now not so much because they're blocking a lot of union things and making things a lot more difficult for people to sit around typing all day. CBS recently, I think, added to it when it was bought out by the Ellison family, pro-Trump Ellison family, and of course, you get some Jews in the media aspersions cast against CBS, and of course they put some lady named Barry Amenema, I think is her name, in charge of it, and she's a hardcore type, isn't she? But they get so far so good. But they add Amazon. Yeah, I get it. Jeff Bezos is like he's going to be like the new Bond villain, right? That's why he bought the Bond franchise, so that he could be the new Blofeld. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Mr. Bond, I expect you to die, Mr. Bond. So I get that too. He came out and said, no, I can't let the Washington Post endorse the candidates that is not ultra right-wing crypto-fascists. But then they also add in, Walmart, which, hey, what are you going to do? And Target. Now, let me ask you something out there, People's Union USA and supporters thereof. If you're going to be boycotting Amazon, Target, and Walmart, where are you going to get your undies and your unmentionables and your dainties from? Who can afford? Are you going outside of that? Are you going to go to Victoria's Secret or something like that to get your dainties? You're going to go, where are you going to get your tidy whities? Where are the guys going to get their tidy whities from? I don't even know. There's this kind of things. Kohl's still exist? I think they still kind of exist. But it's tough out there. You're living from paycheck to paycheck. You need to be able to go to a place now. It's just no luxury for people to go to 3 different shopping places in order to pick up all the swag that you need just to get through the day, all the dry goods that you need to just get through your day-to-day harsh working environment. People don't have the luxury to, and Target's done a few things that go against like open-mindedness and inclusion and stuff, but they aren't in the same league as Walmart and Amazon. Give me a freaking break. And if you get rid of Target, you're going to only have a choice of Walmart and Amazon, the only places that people can go to get enough of the stuff that they need to carry on their day-to-day lives and still get through the work week. And Target isn't in the same league as Amazon. I don't care what People's Union USA. Who is People's Union USA? Who are the people in People's Union USA? Are they getting paid under the table? And we already had to live with Eddie Lampert. Seemingly intentionally destroy Sears and Kmart from within by assuming the titular, becoming the titular head of both of those shopping box store outlets, and conglomerating them under one management, and seemingly, through what do they call that? Intentionally managing them to fail. Built-in obsolescence, and seemingly destroying them from within. Now, Eddie Lampert, I mean, why else would he have managed the way he did, the absolute total destruction of both box stores, if he wasn't getting something on the back end to wet his beak? You got to figure that this guy's got one of the biggest golden parachutes of all time from Amazon or Walmart or both, in order to get rid of all their competition. And take a look at what we're getting. We're getting greedflation and shrinkflation and everything like that is enabled by the fact that there's no competition. One of the worst things that's happened to capitalist society could potentially work and give people opportunities for advancement and economic mobility. But you can't do it without competition. Competition is the medium through which that engine can work. And as the big, giant mergers and everything started happening primarily in the Clinton era, that wiped out. It's not just when you get rid of like a Woolworth or a Sears. It's not just those particular retail outlets that interface directly with the customer, but it's all these wholesalers that go under at the same time, because all those wholesalers are tied in with the distribution network through the chain stores and everything like that. So when the chain stores go, all these that we never see, all these wholesalers and manufacturers of these different diverse products that were specialty items for one or the other of these chain stores, also go under as well. And part of what we're facing now here isn't just an Armageddon of AI, isn't just an Armageddon of the end of retail, or Armageddon of people committing so much shoplifting that no retail organization can afford to stay in business anymore. A large part of it is the end of competition. And that certainly makes it easy for them to price fix, easy for them to be able to create hostile work environments, because there's no place else, there's no competitor that people can go to. Where do you go with the the Ellisons, the aforementioned Ellisons, have 20 frickin' different media outlets that they own now all of a sudden. So if you're working at Paramount and you're working your ass off, but your boss is a total yutz and hates your ass and tortures you and everything like that, and you want to maybe blow the whistle or something, or just get out of there, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Warner Brothers? No, Warner Brothers doesn't exist anymore. It's all part of Ellison Incorporated. That's what's so nutty about it. So now, not only can these conglomerates make it almost impossible for people to have decent workplaces, because there's just no place else to go. You're gonna have to just sit there and take it. But on top of that, they also homogenize all of the different products and wholesalers in the manufacturing chain. It makes it impossible for people to be able to sort of have the benefits that competition can allow people. If you're working against 5 different competitors and they have every one of them has their own in-house rotisserie chickens, and they're all different but tasty, and you get rid of 4 of those competitors. Now you're the only place that's got rotisserie chicken. And people are like, well, rotisserie chicken is the bomb. And so they can't live without rotisserie chicken, but you're the only place, so you don't have to worry about prices. You can charge $100 for a frickin' rotisserie frickin' chicken. Frickin' chicken. Frickin' chicken, that would be a good name, I think, for a new chain. But there's no competition, so I can't get into the business. Popeyes, isn't it horrible? Popeyes is having to liquidate so many of their franchise locations. I mean, liquidation of Popeyes is kind of ironic, though. That's what they've been doing to our intestines for the last 40 years, liquidating them. So I think that that's something that they'd be well versed in. But no, you see what I'm saying? It's like all of a sudden, with no competition, these guys can, price fix. There's only 1 or 2 stores, and freaking People's Union USA is out there trying to destroy Target for some, microaggressions. I'm sorry, but you know what? You deserve, if you're going to go through with that and follow these maniacs into assured destruction of society, then you freaking deserve it. It's just so incredibly self-destructive and stupid. How anybody would fall into that trap and think that these are people who have your best interests in mind by destroying Target and leaving you subjected to having Walmart or Amazon as the only outlets for you to be able to buy affordable dainties and comestibles, acetaminophen, etc. It's bulldink. Top level bulldink. Number 9 of the top 10 worst things I think about at 3 a.m. Do chill pills come in suppository form? Number 8, top 10 worst things I think about at 3 a.m. How many booster rockets would it take to fly a booster? Number 7, do they have gummy fish from any other country besides Sweden? Like, they've got the Swedish fish, but are there, Belgian fish? Madagascar fish? Are they all jellies like that? The gummies, the gummies have, cow hooves, right? Just like gelatin. So they're not vegetarian. Not a vegan or vegetarian, either one. Not to throw a shrimp on the Barbie for you, but that's just the way it is. Number 6 of the top 10 worst things I think about at 3 a.m. Where the heck did I put my rectal thermometer? I can't tell you how many times I worry about that. I sort of like, oh my God, where the hell did I put it? Number 5 of the top 10 worst things I think about at 3 a.m. What's up with all these taxations without representations? I mean, seriously. I think that there's a lot of bulldink with the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And hear me out here, and I'll add in the mix to make it a little easier for you to follow along with. I'll add the Articles of Confederation, because you can't talk about the Declaration and the Constitution without throwing in the Articles of Confederation, because it's all very sophisticated, unambiguous exploitations that are going on here the entire time. A lot of bulldink. A lot of high-test bulldink going on here. Number 1, taxation without representation wasn't about... they complain about it in the Declaration of Independence 20 freaking times. It's so redundant. I don't know if anybody's ever read through that piece of garbage over and over again, and I apologize to those of you who are unable to think clearly, or Ashton Kutcher fans and Mila Kunis fans. I apologize how life in general might have led you to become so ignorant and disengaged so that you can't follow along with these things without, just immediately defaulting to anger mode, thinking oh my God, this person just dissed the freaking Declaration of Independence, man. Hey, can't he be stopped? I will say one thing here. Number 1, the Founding Fathers who wrote the Declaration of Independence, which is known exclusively for maybe one or two line items. If you read through it, it's freaking redundant. Goes over and over again about these usurpations of the King of England and stuff like that. The only reason why they had an American Revolution had nothing to do with all men are created equal or disengaging from the aristocracy, the old school ways, everything like that. Nothing. Boiled down to the aerial view of this whole thing. It's the monarchy was oppressive. And the ways that it exerted its oppression were in having too many troops around, getting all up in our business, and taking taxes out of the colonies. The people who put together, hardly anybody could, it's still just starting to emerge where people can read, where people have access to books once in a while, here and there. But you're still talking about people who are basically illiterate, which I don't want to offend everybody to think that, I'm putting down anybody who's illiterate. Illiterate people are the best people ever. And there's no reason for shame just because you can't read to do with anything. You can still be wise. You don't necessarily have to be book smart to be wise. Wise people don't necessarily go through all the various different knowledge incremental increases through learning stuff in a sanitized, artifice, buzzwords, saying things. But you don't have it. You don't have it. You don't know it. You don't have a grasp on the higher level concepts of how this boondoggle was applied against us. Because all they really cared about was not the fact that they were having taxation without representation. They created a system of taxation representation. And let's remind ourselves here that the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence were primarily the same people who wrote the frickin' Constitution. The Founding Fathers, as they call them. Founding Fathers. Up those Founding Fathers and their stinky, unwiped asses. And I'll tell you why. Now that you're in the business of hating me, let's just talk about why before you go freaking out and telling your neighbors about this nut job that you saw on some obscure little nothing nobody pays attention to. And here's the thing. The only thing the Founding Fathers wanted was money and power. And that's why the revolution had nothing to do with all men are created equal, because when those same people, 10 years, 10 freaking years, think about the changes that you make in 10 years. Do you go through these major league life changes where you think 10 years ago, and a lot of people will do this when they get rich and stuff like that, will have these life changes where they become dehumanized. When they cross over that $1 that it takes them to become a multi-millionaire to a billionaire, that extra dollar will dehumanize everybody and turn them into a bunch of Bond villain level misanthropic sociopaths. But we're talking about the Founding Fathers here who in 1776 are writing about all men are created equal, and then and 1787 are writing how black people are 3/5 of human being and women are 0% human being. Okay, not all men are created equal anymore for when it comes time to indoctrinate a law to run this new country. So what was really at play here? If what we're really seeing is the true nature of the Founding Fathers is in the Constitution. They didn't care about humanity. They didn't care about all men being created equal or 0% human, 3/5, all that type of stuff. Couldn't care less. Because they gave all the votes that they gave to were the white, wealthy landowners. The only people allowed to vote. Okay, so we know that they were ultra racists. Okay, so what else is at play here? Why would they say all men are created equal, and then when it comes time to, put the proof in the pudding, they're weak-kneed nobodies who are looking, like baby Hitlers. And that's, I believe, because the Declaration of Independence wasn't this egalitarian, high-minded document, but in reality was a military recruitment tool, like a poster that's saying, like, join the army, be seen as an equal human. I really think that was a tool used to recruit people to fight against the British. And they never really gave a rat's ass about it. It's the last time you ever hear about anybody being created equal anywhere, in any way, shape, or form in the government. You get the Bill of Rights and stuff like that, but that was only because they were having trouble passing the Constitution when they originally presented it. And they figured, we better at least, but nobody can take advantage of the Bill of Rights unless they're lawyered up, right? And who the hell can afford to be lawyered up? White, wealthy landowners. Hello. All right, so then you got that. So yes, the Declaration of Independence was nothing more than a recruitment tool. People were like, did you see what they said in the Declaration of Independence? All men, even Italians are created equal. And people be like, wow, damn, I think that's something I could fight for. And they give over their lives to it. And it's, they give over their homes and, all their foodstuffs, everything, because they were obligated to provide facilities for armies back in those days. And so they give everything to it because they believe, but then they found out, and people were like, and this is where the scam really gets awful, even more awful, if you can believe that. They knew that there was going to be a problem trying to migrate from this high-minded, idealistic, and again, the taxation without representation, they didn't care about not representing people. People weren't going to be represented in the Constitution that they set up our society. There are tons of people who weren't represented. You had the Electoral College, which limited the amount that, we could approach being fully represented as a democracy. And then you also had the Senate, which was created in some sort of alleged compromise, which meant that each state gets the same amount of representation, no matter how much population they've got. So now, and they knew this going into it because they were, a lot more devious than, the average schmuck. And we've got a state of Wyoming that's got like 400,000 people in it having the same representation as the state of California, which has got 40 million. I mean, where's the, they didn't care about taxation without representation. It's sold. It's a bill of goods to us. And people are like reading this army recruitment handbill thing. You're like, all men are created equal. No taxation without representation. For sure, I'm signing up. A bill of goods. It was not a Bill of Rights. It was a Bill of Goods. And we all fell for it. We continue to fall for it. We continue to idealize these things. If we took a closer look at it, it would fall apart under scrutiny within a minute. It makes no sense that we would be devoted to these evildoers. So let's go on. Let's take the next step. So, like I said, they have this idealistic treatise that's used to get people to fight against the British, a propaganda film of its day, the Declaration of Independence. And they need to migrate from that philosophy to the realities of what they wanted to get to, which is the Constitution. It's a bridge too far, quite frankly, my friends. Oh my God! What the hell? Sorry. And so they had a plan though. they were like, well, what we'll do is we'll create a government that's so loosey goosey and so horrifying to people. It's has absolutely, just sort of like a hippy dippy commune type of just a loose association that will call the Articles of Confederation. And we'll put that in place, and it'll be so horrible. People will be so tortured, and have this. We'll give everybody everything by doing nothing, and be total libertarian, hands off type of a thing. And it was a freaking disaster. And it screwed everything up. Interstate commerce screwed up the economy. You had no ability to be able to raise an army. So there's a very dangerous time for the security of the country. All kinds of impositions and underwhelming aspects to it that made it just absolutely impossible for people to live within. And the people got so angry and so frustrated with the government under the Articles of Confederation that they were willing to do anything to get away with it and to get away from it. And they had, and they were totally willing to give over more power, centralized authority to the government, more strictures and more discipline types of things to do. And the bill will regulate interstate commerce and taxes and promote the general welfare and security and armies and et cetera, et cetera. And so when they came back after the years of the Articles of Confederation turning the whole country into a freaking nightmare, they were pretty much on board with whatever the founding fathers wanted to put together. And that's when they were able to strike while the iron is hot and bring in this constitution that they wanted, that vastly underrepresented people that had no taxation with representation, no representation hardly at all for people, very, sort of approximation of a republic. And then they had also talked about in the Declaration all the, niceties of all men are created equal. And again, not even close in the original Constitution. And again, like I said, the Bill of Rights, not so easy to take advantage of a Bill of Rights if you don't have adequate legal representation to be able to enforce said rights. And most people don't and didn't. And that's what the whole thing about taxation without representations and all that type of stuff, we never had it. They never wanted it. They just wanted to keep all the taxes that they were sending off to the king for themselves. Keep it domestic, and they figured out a way to do it. We're saying that white wealthy landowners are the only people who are allowed to be able to vote. That meant that they were giving themselves the governmental power to be able to, create where this, allocate where all these money and riches and everything like that were taking place. They removed the ability of any outside authority to be able to scrutinize the government and their activities and their ongoing dealings. That was independent of the centralized government, and all kinds of different things that had nothing to do with freedom, nothing to do with justice, nothing to do with, inalienable rights and such, and so it's a real pain in the ass to see the reality of this type of situation. So if you go ahead and hate me for having that type of realization and things like that, I feel bad that first of all you can't even get through your own prejudices and be able to take a look and see what these people were actually all about. And look, many of them were slave owners. Many of them had nothing to do with any sort of high-minded attitudes of egalitarian nations that were dedicated towards the real dedication of prospect of all men are created equal and that have the right to pursuit of happiness. Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? That stuff Has anybody ever seen anything within the government the last, I don't know, 50 something freaking years that was dedicated towards helping people pursue happiness? Maybe a few things, minor league things, but all been destroyed since then. Number 4 of the top 10 worst things I think about at 3 a.m. No one has ever said that vampires need air to live. So wouldn't it be true that vampires would make perfect astronauts? I mean, this is something that I think a lot of people have neglected to indulge in the idea of. Why aren't there more like movies about vampire astronauts? There has never been a single goddamn vampire nothing that showed killing a vampire by strangling him and choking off his air hole. Not even shoving a cross down his air hole. They won't do it. I've never seen that. They've never had that. So for all we know, vampires don't need air. And they can go without air for a long time. So why not vampire astronauts? It seems like the perfect solution for so many different things. All you gotta do is send them into space with a few quarts of blood and whatnot, and colonize Mars with a bunch of vampires and stuff. Later on, you go stab them up or something like that and get some Van Helsings and whatnot, and just go to town. But you can do a lot of space exploration with vampires, I bet you. Another thing about vampires is how come nobody's ever had Robert De Niro do a vampire thing? De Niro seems like he'd make a great vampire with that face of his. Oh, vampire, Robert De Niro. Number 3 of the top 10 worst things I think about at 3 a.m. What's the difference? Okay, follow along with me here on this one. What's the difference between fudge ripple ice cream and fudge royal ice cream? Huh? Why would they even say it? I mean, it's like either, in both cases, you got the vanillas ice cream usually. I mean, but I've seen some chocolate here and there, but mostly the vanillas. And you got the fudge swirled into the vanillas. So you open up the container, you see the vanilla, and you see a fudge, a stripe of fudge swirled throughout the vanilla. In both cases, in both fudge ripple and fudge royal ice cream, it's the same ripple, the chocolate fudge ripple. So, is there some sort of unknown sort of tale of woe and conflict that has not been exploited by Hollywood? Can it possibly be that Hollywood has let us down with such a story of such potentially great intrigue? I mean, was there a royal family and a Ripple family at some point where they competing ice creams like the Capulets and the Merryweathers or whatever that is, Romulans, the Capulets. I don't trust those Capulets. I think the Capulets are definitely going to be the fudge ripple of the fudge ripple / fudge royal debate, stratification. But I don't get it, man. I mean, life's complex enough. Somebody get together, the brain trust of the ice cream industry needs to get together and centralize this whole goddamn thing so we don't have to go through all these unsettled issues. I'm leaning for fudge ripple. It's a ripple. And, like fudge royal seems so effete and snobbish. Oh, I'd like to... Jeeves, please bring me a serving of the fudge royale. Fudge Ripple is the fudge swirl, vanilla ice cream fudge swirl of the people, the masses. Number two of the top 10 worst things that I think about at 3 a.m. We were taught to laugh at Native Americans that sold Manhattan Island for $12 worth of beads. And I don't know how it was later generations, but when it was taught to us, my generation, it was to belittle Native Americans. It was. And we'd look at it and be like, oh, I sold Manhattan for $12 worth of beads? What a bunch of jerks. The fact is that we, people of the United States, have sold our mortal souls for the opportunity to watch 5 hours of TV a day. And that's really kind of what it boils down to. We will do anything to deny the world around us, to wrap ourselves up in a exclusionary cocoon that we can get nice and comfy within, and become completely ignorant about the world around us, and deny our obligations to participate in the world around us, of paying the social costs of all the wondrous gifts that we've had in life. So many of us have had, not everyone, but so many of us have had in this culture, and just kind of, think about how many people thought that they brought themselves up by their own bootstraps and have no obligations whatsoever, try to cheat on their taxes, and all those types of jerk-offs that don't feel like they don't bear any responsibility for any of the social costs that are incurred in order to provide a society that has enough support to have brought so much wealth to people over the years. But basically, what it boils down to for so many of us is we just want to, live in denial. The drugs, the booze, the sexual porno indulgences, all these various types of things that we use to avoid reality for hours upon hours every day, is what we traded for our mortal souls. Because now we're responsible for, what could turn out to be the destruction of the world. We paid for the building of this massively destructive military, and we're responsible for that. We paid for the erection of all of these sweatshops, and they are making movies about like the Nike guys being heroes, these fantasy propaganda pieces, called Air, and we did David Byrne, who's making musicals that are tribute to Imelda Marcos, during the rise of fascism in this country and the unveiling of the crypto-fascist nature of what our society has been for all these many decades. And David Byrne comes out with a stage play that brings aggrandizement to one of the worst of them all, Imelda Marcos, and the same musical that he puts on, he tries to be a big union buster by playing pre-recorded music, even though that the union rules on Broadway require live musicians to be playing as part of the, Broadway will collapse and it will implode if they didn't have enough qualified and fully trained musicians and dancers and all that kind of stuff available at all times. That's why those unions exist. It's not just simply to have, people earning living wages, because heaven forfend, people should be able to do that. But it's also, overall built to kind of keep Broadway healthy enough to self-perpetuate, so that those talented people are available and have enough of a living wage to be able to perpetuate the ongoing success of Broadway stage plays ad infinitum, ad nauseum, as David Byrne's play would do. I mean, what the hell's wrong with that psycho? That guy needs to be, shot out of a cannon into the moon to see if we could get the moon to cry cheese. Like that old... Did I do that joke in this? I've done that joke recently in one of the recent episodes. Like that old silent movie, the black and white silent movie where the guy shoots a cannon and fires a bullet into the moon's eye and cries liquid cheese. David Byrne should be shot into the moon's eye and to see if it would cry liquid cheese. That jerk off. Anyway, but the point I was trying to make with this particular line item was, we're laughing at Native Americans. At least Native Americans got $12 worth of beads. We sold our souls for the opportunity to watch 5 hours of television. Who's the fool now? Who deserves to be laughed at now? And number one of the top 10 worst things that I think about at 3 a.m., how many air holes do you need in the box to keep the puppy from suffocating? Oh, God. Why does that sound loud? Oh, yeah. So, hey, like, what the hell? Anyway, that's all the time we've got for today's edition of Top 10 Worst of Lists. What an incredible time it's been for me to live long enough to be able to bring you this particular liberating and super super great experience. And I feel like uniquely gratified that you put your trust in me to guide you through another top 10 worst of list. And I know that you had your choices of top 10 worst lists to go to, and you chose top 10 worst of lists. And I'm very mindful of it, and I feel I've done everything I can to continue the high level of excellence and artificial integrity that you come to know and love about top 10 worst of. And before I go, I just want to remind everybody that everything I've said here is just opinions. I not only invite you to, if there's been things that I've talked about that you feel don't work for you, I'm not just inviting you to research it for yourself. I'm insisting that you research it for yourself. Go ahead and take a look at the various things that you are pissed off about for yourself. And quit accepting answers, not just from me, but from anybody else, any other talking head idiot that just, put out in front of you because you don't know any better. And figure out exactly what the hell's going on in the world for yourself. Don't rely on people like me. Jesus Christ, look at me. Do I look like I should be relied upon for anything besides a good restaurant recommendation? Or an interesting thing to try slathering peanut butter all over? Anyway, real pleasure. And those of you who are like super mad and everything like that, I just guarantee you that the level of pain that I lived through in my life would be so rewarding for you to find out about. It's just the perpetual horror show. And I've had, over the last few days, I've had a relapse in one of my many painful and debilitating health conditions that is just scary as hell and could have what tiny little bits of headway I've made over the last couple of years to try to find a way out of this cycle of poor health and pain and misery. you'd be happy to know how miserable my life really is. And, thank you for that. And I, would like to remind you that before you go, to smash that freaking like button like it owes you money. And subscribes and all that stuff, so you filthy animal. And let's, hey, let's try something different. Let's try to get through all this mess together, okay? And one last thing before